Hey y'all, N4CME here. Package arrived today. He already told me it was coming. This is from an S9 Plus, that is a VIP Plus Patreon team member. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you his name. I got his permission. Last year he gave me, this is an early Christmas present. Last year he gave me the ATAS 120A, so without him you wouldn't have seen that series. I had no intention of buying one. I had no idea what I was missing, though. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. Well, this year he has sent me something. So I'm going to open it up and see what we have here. Let me tell you who it is. It's from N4CME, November 4, Charlie Mike Echo. And that's my friend Vince. We've known each other for a long, long time, but he is also an S9 Plus, VIP Plus. Team member. If you don't know what that means, the highest tier is S9 VIP, but some people choose to give above that, and he's one of those who has chosen to pay it forward to help me help others. So anyway, let's without further ado, let's open this up. Specifications and support. Okay, a power supply. Okay, nicely bubble wrapped. There we go. Let's see what's in the bubble wrap. And don't worry, this is not just going to be an unboxing video. I'll show you this thing in action once I get it going. He gave me a heads up on what it is. Wow, it looks nice. Look at that wooden frame. Look at that. It's an HF Clock, internet-based clock system. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of a hint of what it does because he showed me his. It's really, really cool. I can't wait for you to see it lit up. This thing will show you the time, the gray line map. You can set it up to where it'll show you, it'll give you solar forecasts, so propagation reports for the various bands, even tell you which band should be the best at certain times of the day. And you can set up to where it'll show POTA spots, SOTA spots. Really, really cool. So I'll get this set up and then I'll let you see how it works and what it does. So when I turned it on, there was a screen that had me tap several times, or five times in various locations on the screen to calibrate it. And it said to use a stylus, so I used this little stylus they gave me when I voted. So this is the next screen that you get, and I suppose this is the call sign of maybe the person who makes these. And I've got to go through here and change all that to my settings, so it's going to want my call sign, my internet Wi-Fi SSID here, in latitude, longitude for my QTH. So I'll get all that set up and I'll be back with you. Okay, I'm back and it's programmed. I'll go through a little bit of that with you. It's sitting right now atop the FTDX 5000 because I'm running the FTDX 10 right now. I will zoom in on that screen and give you a little rundown of what it's showing. There's a lot of options. Wow. Thank you so much, Vince. Let me zoom in. Get as close as I can and still get it all in there. Okay, that ought to do it. So you'll notice I have a call sign in the top left. You enter that on the setup screen. I'll show you. I'll go through that in a minute. Then those three screens across the top, let me use my little stylus here. This, and this are user selectable. Now the dxcluster takes a little bit of setup, and that was not intuitive. As a matter of fact, I went through about 10 dxcluster addresses to try to find one that would work. Interestingly enough, I wasn't able to use the HB9DRV cluster that is, well, let me pan up. That's the one you see right there in the green and white on my Ham Radio Deluxe. It has a very long address, and I ran out of space putting that one in. But I'll show you in a minute what did work. So you're going to put your call sign in. You're going to put your grid square, or you're going to let it figure it out. And the DE, that is you. You'll notice this map area is refreshing. There are a lot of options on that too. And when you change it, you get any type of a setup, it has to refresh. So while it's doing, let me explain. I've got this pane assigned to, let me use my pointer again. This pane is assigned to SOTA. This is assigned to the dxcluster. And this VOACAP, this is really cool. So let me give a little interpretation of that. It's based on 100 watts, believe it or not. The green is a go, the red is a no, and the yellow is a maybe, all right? And on the left side there, let me zoom way in. Okay, these are the bands. So right now it's showing me that 10, 12, 15, 17 are pretty much not usable at this moment. So I'm at UTC 0209, and across the bottom here is UTC. There's 4. You can change that to local as well. There's 4, 8, 12. Okay, so I'm in between 0 and 4 right now, or midnight and 4 UTC. And so it says, yeah, right now it's red for so marginal if best for 30 meters. Now 40 meters and 80 meters look great. It doesn't show 160, interestingly, but you know, that's a local band anyway. There's no, there's some DX certain times of the year there is. I may explore that more, see if that's an option, but not a big deal. So, but look at this, 40 and 80 are pretty much good. 40 will go a little bit yellow there, that one little segment. You see it right there at, about 10 hours UTC. All right, so that's pretty cool. SOTA, the way these work, you just tap like here, and you get a little list of options. SOTA, there's planetary K, solar flux, solar wind, space weather, sunspot number. I looked at that a while ago. It's currently 93. So you pick one of those that you want to see. Yeah, that's pretty cool. POTA is an option as well, right down here. And then over here, whoops, what happened? Lost connection. Let's see what happens with, see if the dxcluster comes back. I was having a little trouble with that. Oh, there it is. There's back. All right. Now, let's zoom out a little bit and show you this map. Well, let me zoom back in a little bit. So right now, basically, it's a gray line map. And so it's dark here, daylight here. I've got it set to show countries. But up here in the upper left, you've got some options here. I'm going to tap countries. And look, I like this one right here, maximum usable frequency. You just tap OK. Now, I have to let it refresh the map. You'll see it's calculating maximum usable frequency map. And it's generating. So it's going out and grabbing that data, and it'll show it here on the map in a moment. It looks really cool. Looks like the dxcluster lost connection again. I wonder if that's, I think the processor is overtaxed right now. You can tell, you know, it does respond a little bit slow, but that's, for what this thing does, it's fast enough. Once you get it set the way you want. See, yeah, the dxcluster came back. So the processor was just overtaxed. All right, here we go, it's generating. This is a really cool looking map. I'm debating whether I might just leave this one on. There's a lot of different options though. By the way, all those call signs you're seeing are beacons. And over there in the top right, while it's generating there, right up here, these are beacon frequencies. And they're color coordinated. So, for example, the yellow, you'll see here on the screen, yellow, there's JA2 IGY 14.10. There's blue 21.15 UK6 RBF. All right, but there you go. Now, what you're looking at there is maximum usable frequency map, and you can see that across the bottom here, look at this gradient. So the darker blue here, that means that the maximum usable frequency is up to around 14 megahertz. Starts fading out towards 15. Okay, so how do we interpret this? Look down here at the bottom in megahertz. There's 5 megahertz, 10 megahertz, 15 megahertz, 20 megahertz, 25, and 30. So if you see any red, that's letting you know that, well, something up around 30 megahertz. So we would say, you know, 29, 28, 29, that'd be the 10-meter band. We would be saying, okay, that's good. The green, around 20, 21 megahertz, that means that, look at these regions of the world that 15 meters should be covering right now. So that's the maximum usable frequency map. Again, down here at the blue, 5 and 10 megahertz. So right here in this area here, I mean, that's 40 meters right there. But look at this, 40 meters hops, and then you get 40 meters again over here in Europe. You know, there's something called multi-hops in propagation. And by the way, just a little side note on that. They didn't discover that until when the Titanic was sinking. They had no idea that the RF would multi-hop like that. Remember, the Marconi company had just come on the scene, and you didn't buy your own radio. You paid Marconi company to send their radio operators out, and the Titanic had 2 radio operators aboard who were from the Marconi company. And so, you know, so the Marconi company put the equipment on the ship, and they had their operators work it. Well, they didn't realize that their signal could be heard so far. Well, they were calling their CQD, Come Quickly Disaster, and then later SOS. They were calling that from, you know, near Newfoundland. And there was a ham radio operator who had built his own station. He was a young man. He had lost his leg in a farming accident. They have a celebration every year about him because he heard the CQD and the SOS and went to the local police department. They laughed at him and they didn't believe him. A couple of days later, of course, the newspapers came out and he was vindicated. That is just a little bit interesting story there. If you want to look for the story, I saw it on, I want to say it was on Amazon Prime a few years ago, but it's called The Lost Signal, I believe, or it might just be Lost Signal. About a 1-hour documentary, really, really cool. Well, because of him being able to hear that signal, they calculated that it must have taken several hops using, you know, so going up to the ionosphere, refracting back down, hitting the ocean, and the ocean water, salt water even better, would refract it back up, and it would go back to the ionosphere, and they think it took several hops. So I suppose that's what we're seeing here, is that because there's 40 meters. I mean, it's down here in the darker blue, darker right there. So that's 7 megahertz. And then it hops over, and then we got coverage 7 megahertz over here into Europe. So that may be that it's calculating the hop. I'm just speculating because I just got this thing. But let me show you some other options. Oh, weather. I haven't even looked at the weather one yet. Let me try that. Trying to work this stuff. There we go. Weather map. So we'll see what that looks like together. I don't know. But it's really cool looking. The last soda spot up there is ZL3MR 21310, and it's shown in kilohertz. You won't see a decimal there. The manual explained that. But the DX cluster is looking cool. There's TX7L. I worked them the other night. I also worked TJ9MD. TJ9MD is a DXpedition in Cameroon, and TX7L is a DXpedition on the Marquesas Islands. I've gotten both of them recently. All right, so I got them on sideband, but it looks like TJ9MD is on 40 meters, 7.009. Might have to try that in a bit. Okay, so here's the weather map coming up. So degrees in F is what we're looking at. You see across the bottom here? Blue is cold, red is hot. So, yeah, kind of cool. Showing some of the temperatures here, I guess. But I'm going to leave it on. Well, let me show you this one other one. This is the one that it defaults to, terrain. Get that pointer on there, Doug. Terrain map coming up. Yeah, see, while it's generating that map, it loses the DX cluster. So that's just processing. The processor is being taxed But you settle on something, you leave it alone. It's really kind of cool. Very stunning looking. While it's doing that, let me show you something. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Right now, what I've done for temporary mount, believe it or not, that is for the bottom of a door. I just put a new one of those on the bottom of the door. They come 36 inches long. You cut them to fit, and that was left over. And then it had these little curtains on the bottom, if you will, little plastic curtains. So when you close the door, they kind of create a barrier for bugs. So bugs can't get in, weather. And you know, you don't get the cold air or whatever, hot air even. Well, I cut those off, put double stick tape. Now I haven't taped it down to anything yet. It's just sitting up there right now. But my good friend Joel, KC4WZB, he is the master at repurposing things. So Joel, that is in honor of you. Still not quite sure where I'll mount it. I will show you in a minute. On the back, there's a slot, so you could put a screw in a wall. I just got to find a place. And you can mount it on the wall. That's how my friend Vince has his mounted. It looks really, really cool in his shack. I may end up doing that and putting it right up underneath that big monitor up there. But I just want to keep it in arm's reach. So I'm thinking about maybe using the double stick foam, finding a place on the desk for it. Well, there you go. That's how it comes. That's a terrain map, which it looks pretty cool too. You see all the little specks there? I guess that's showing cities, you know, with all their lights. And again, there you see your beacons. There's 4U1UN. I've worked them, the United Nations. Okay, well, let me go through the setup. It's a little bit, a couple of areas are not very intuitive. The way you get into the setup is every time it powers up. So bear with me a moment through the magic of filming and editing. I'm going to go down under here and unplug it. And so I'll be back with that in a moment. Okay, I'm back. You see it counting down? When you first turn it on, I'm not going to do it. When you first turn it on, it'll have you go through and tap 5 times, some little dots it puts on the screen to calibrate the screen. Now, I just skipped into setup. All right, so you put in your information, call sign, all that kind of stuff. Look at page 2. See up here in the top right, you got these pages. A lot of color options there. So page 2 is where you want to go when you get into the setup. And this is the DX cluster that I was able to get to work. It's port 7300. Let me zoom in. So port 7300 DXC dot WB3FFV.US. That's DXC Delta X-ray Charlie dot Whiskey Bravo 3 Foxtrot Foxtrot Victor dot US, United States. Again, port 7300, and then log in Whiskey Bravo 0 OEW-1. Be very, very careful. That is a 0 and then an O. Whiskey Bravo 0 OEW-1. And then over on the spider commands, those are optional. That's exactly how I saw it noted. So that's what I put in, and it's working. Once you finish that, you just hit done. And then it goes through connecting, doing its thing, getting on your router. I'm going to go ahead and skip. It's just looking for a time server right now. Save time. There we go. And it's coming back. So it's going to refresh the map, and it's coming back to terrain because that's where it was the last time I used it. And you'll see it generating. So really cool. I should mention too, another option, if you don't want to do dxcluster or if you don't want to do SOTA, I'll just click over here. You can make, you can make this POTA or SOTA. You can't do both at the same time, obviously. Yeah, let me show you a little quirky thing. You can actually select more than one thing, but that's not allowed. So you've got to make sure you've only got one little square selected. Let me zoom in a little more so you can see that better. Okay. So you see it's got SOTA selected right now. There's POTA. Sunspot in. See, now let me show you. I'm going to hit OK. It's just going to stay at SOTA. It's going to stay where it was. You can't have two selected, okay? So SOTA and dxcluster, that's what I will use the most. That's what I would get the most functionality from. Now see, it's regenerating that map, and so I don't have any dxcluster info yet. That SOTA info, that's left over from a while back, so it's probably just went to it because that's the last thing it had. Okay, well there you have it. It's called the let me show you the manual that came with it. It's Veridium, I guess is how you pronounce that, and it's the 9-inch. Let me get that up there. 9-inch HF clock frame, model 1850-9X. So thank you very much, Vince. November 4, Charlie Mike Echo, for the gift. I certainly do appreciate this. And as I get to know it a little bit better, I will shoot probably another video or two about this thing. It's coming up on Christmas time. This is probably a good choice for Christmas. And in my case, Vince was kind enough to send me this as an early Christmas present. So thank you so much, Vince. Okay, well, there is its final resting place, I think, I hope. I found a microphone or phone stand, see back there, clamped to the desk, that I wasn't using. And I had to do a little bit of re-engineering of it, but I've got it to hold. Four monitors in here now. All right, hey, thanks for watching videos on my channel. I want to recognize some of the Patreon members of the Patreon support team, what I call long haulers. Those are the people who have supported the channel for a year or two or even more. I've got some coming up on 3 years, which is just about how long I've had a Patreon site. There are over 100 posts over on the Patreon site. Lots of other subjects covered, some detailed things, technical discussions, and the complete list of the video series I've done on radios like the FTDX10, FT710, FTDX 101. They're over there on the Patreon site as well. And my menu optimizations documents are available to those who sign up annually at S7 or S9 level. The levels are S5, S7, and S9. And I will say I've got a few of the S9s who chose to give above and beyond the membership amount for S9. So I call them S9 Plus. That's also what I've called S9. I've called VIP. S7 is executive, and S5 is an associate. But I like to use the S units as well, since it's for ham radio. So again, if you'll hang on 32 more seconds, you're going to see the recognition of 5 of these long hauler Patreon members, because quite frankly, without them, you would not even be watching this video. And for that matter, without N4CME, I wouldn't have this device to show you a video about. All right, hey, thanks again for watching videos on my channel. This is N4HNH saying 73.